Welcome to another episode of Tech Talk. We will continue with the part 2 of wireless microphones, digital versus analogs. And we have James Maye with us. How are you today, James?
Very well today. I'm excited about this one.
Yeah, I know. Also, in this episode, we will be asking James about his advices regarding digital and analog microphones. And we have a surprise. We have a bonus questions for you today because it's part 2. And also, we will have the question of the day. So we're ready to start. My name is Eli Navas from Hope for Today TV, and this is Tech Talk.
Welcome.
You just ruined my intro. Okay, let's start with the questions. So James too, in this part, we completely maybe forgot what we talked in part 1. Can you give us a quick recap of the first 2 questions we asked you regarding wireless microphones, digital versus analog?
Yeah, and it was digital versus analog, and it was also something a little bit different from that too, because it was also like frequencies as well.
Yes.
And so first off, our first question was around what 3 things are important when selecting a wireless mic.
Yes.
And when we looked at that, we thought maybe digital was more important to have than analog, where digital does have some nice features about it, but we found out that frequency availability was one of the 3 things, sound quality as well.
Yes.
And of course the reception, and which a reliable reception should require you to have a receiver that has detachable antennas.
Yes.
So that was something that we found out. We also spoke about the 600 megahertz frequency changes that happened in Canada and the United States as well. And
I had nightmares, James. I had nightmares after that episode with the 600. I was just like, 600, 600, 600.
And the thing is that how is this going to affect the reception inside the churches because of the telecommunications providers now using this in their wireless bands for 5G, and what kind of interference that's going to place onto the system, as well as now rendering the wireless mics illegal to be used in those frequencies. So that's really what we spoke about in those 2 questions, and it was an exciting time.
Because you didn't make the mistakes I made.
We all make mistakes.
Yeah, not you, James. You're perfect as you are.
No, I'm not.
So that was the question number 1 about it. So we talked about 600 megahertz and everything else, and I was completely confused. I think that I didn't get enough coffee that day. So anyways, but we're here in part 2, and listen to me. I'm so happy to be with James because he's always really objective with his questions and answers that he's responding. And in Tech Talk, that's the purpose, to help you to find out what is the best technology that is going to be suitable for your church. That's the main thing. I mean, you're technically laughing at my expense because I make the mistakes that you won't make because I already did it. So anyways, so that's the reason why we're here. So James, are you ready for question number 3 of our short series of wireless microphones, digital versus analog?
Yes, I am.
This is the question, James. What advice you have for churches at this time about and regarding wireless microphones?
Well, you need to look for some good quality features. So it has to be good sounding. Look for, if you can, if you're using something like that's ear worn or clip-on, if possible, look for things like that have detachable cords. So if something breaks on a microphone that's like clip-on or ear worn, most of the time it's the cord that breaks. So if you have a model where you can detach it and replace the cord, it'll be much more of an investment to you as opposed to an expense.
Okay.
You also want to have, whenever possible, detachable antennas, because then it means that you can take your receiver, put it inside your the furniture or inside of an equipment cabinet, and remove the antennas and place them out and above the congregation so that you have a clear line of sight. You also want to look for where are the power and mute buttons. If are they in a good place and easily used. So when the person is holding the microphone, the mute button, is it on the handle? Is it easy to access? Or is
Yes.
it something that you have to go underneath or in another spot, or do you have to open it in order to access it? So for something like this, you want it as simple as possible. Same like a belt pack. You want the mute button to be easily accessed on the top, either a slide switch or a toggle switch or something. Works out great. Having a button that you press, and you sometimes it might be difficult to know, is it on, is it off, because I'm just pressing a button, I don't know. But if you have a switch, and if I slide it to the front, I know it's on, and if I slide it to the back, I know it's off, that sort of thing. So it's easier that way. So think of it in the sense of how will it be for the person using it. If you have convenience features available, like if maybe rechargeable batteries, and I know we spoke a bit about rechargeable batteries in the past.
And I remember that I said that I have conflicts with that one, but you changed your mind. Can you recap about the batteries? Because this is the thing for me. I personally didn't like the rechargeable batteries, but you told me, let me think, maybe since 2 years ago, the technology regarding rechargeable batteries is more reliable right now than the disposable. Because for me, disposable is just like you use it once and throw it to the garbage. But you mentioned to me, you changed my mind regarding rechargeable batteries. Can you recap that one again, please?
Yeah, so battery technology in the past 5 to 10 years has changed a lot. Where before batteries, when we charged them, they were primarily NiCad or nickel cadmium, and that was 1.2 volts, let's say on a AA, instead of let's say 1.5 volts from a Duracell or an Energizer, that sort of thing, an alkaline. And so you had a lower voltage, but not only that, you had a lower amount of time you could use the battery. And with the NiCads, the thing about it is that it had what was referred to as a memory. So you would put it into the charger, and you would use it, let's say, for 45 minutes. And you would use the battery, and then you would put it back in the charger, use it for 45 minutes, put it into the charger back and forth like this. Then the battery itself, even though it might have had a capacity to do, let's say, an hour and 20 minutes, it starts to remember that you're only using 45 minutes. So when you try and use longer than 45, it just doesn't have any more power. So it has that memory.
Cracking.
So what would happen is that people that would use NiCads, after a while, they would realize that even though the battery itself is supposed to have a longer life, it would have a shorter life based on the usage that they had. Because it just wasn't necessarily good for them to use the battery until it drained, and then recharge it again. And so that's where it developed that issue. But on the newer batteries that are out there, like nickel metal hydrates and lithium batteries and so on and so forth, they're much better in that sense, where they don't have that same memory issue. They do degrade over time, but if you have a better quality rechargeable battery, you can use that now for maybe, I'm going to say regularly every week or several times in a week. And at that point, you probably want to refresh them or change them every 1 to 2 years. I would go more on the every year if you can, if you have that kind of budget. And it would just help you in that sense, because then it would always feel like you have fresh alkalines. And the amount of time that they last is closer to that of an alkaline battery. And in some cases, depending on the use that you're using it, some will actually outlast an alkaline battery before you put it on charge.
And just for free, I just want to mention that I made the mistake in the last episode to say that you just put it on the garbage. But James corrected me. You have to take your batteries and you have to put it in the recycling facility that is close to your place. Remember, we are in Ontario, Canada, so you have to go in and dump in recycle these ones technically, because it has to be environmentally processed in the right way. So I remember that part. So you were saying, James, about looking for the quality features, good sounding, rich detachable antennas and all the stuff. But I have a question for you inside the, like a sub questions, if we can say it. So can you hear the difference with the wireless microphones in the right frequency with the 600 megahertz? Can you hear the difference with the analog and the digital audio?
The digital audio is pretty much like you took a wired mic and you plugged it in it, and you have the sound of the wired mic. An analog mic, what it does is because of the way the wireless transmission takes place, and because of the width of the frequency for radio frequency transmission that is being used, the actual audio, if you were to try and, let's say, uncompress it, if you want to call it that, it would actually want a wider bandwidth. But since the wider bandwidth goes outside of the window, like my hands, that at that point, you would have some things which would be missing. So what they do is they actually compress the audio so that it fits within the window. And so you have sort of a compression of some kind that takes place. And then afterwards, when it's transmitted and received on the other side, it's then expanded again. But, when you have that taking place, it's not really totally 100%, but it's close. And so you can have it sound close to a wired mic, but it would not sound exactly the same as a wired mic. But the difference is subtle. It's very subtle.
So it is fair to ask this question, because we're still in question number 3, that we're asking you advices about how to pick up a wireless microphone for our churches. So it is fair to ask which one is better, or it's the wrong question?
The thing is that there are reasons for both. And if you say, well, I want to go for digital, then there's a certain type of thing you want within that digital. But at the same time, if you go analog, what you're looking for within analog or looking for within digital are the same. And so that means you want to have the right frequency range. You want to have, the right feature set about it. You want to have, detachable antennas. You want to have true diversity receiver capabilities. You want to have a number of things on it, whether it is a digital, whether it is an analog. The thing is that if you can afford a digital, then go for it. But the digital wireless mic, which is say $300 or $400, does not have that same frequency range that you want to be within. It's not within that say 500 megahertz range. It might be in a 900 megahertz range, or it might be in the Wi-Fi range. And you can have some other issues with that, and especially transmission length issues. And also because of the cost of the wireless mic, the antennas might be built inside the box as opposed to being external antennas which you can remote. And so those are things to consider.
So basically, it's the features of the microphone that are going to be more suitable for your need?
Exactly.
Okay.
And
so it doesn't matter if it's digital or analog, right?
Correct. Okay. Because even with analog wireless microphones, there have been many advancements that have taken place, and many wireless microphones which are analog that sound amazing, we'll say, for the use that is out there. For an instant, I remember in the part 1 that I made the mistake. Like, again, remember, I asked these things to him not because I'm an expert. He is the expert, and I'm learning of this process. And I remember that I made the mistake saying that analog is evil and digital is good. No, it's completely the opposite. It has to be accommodated to. You're laughing on my expense, and I know. And no, I'm laughing with you.
Yeah, right. No, you're laughing off me. But still, that's the reason why we do this program, because I'm learning in this process, and he's teaching us how to pursue and update the technology that we have in our churches, because that's the main thing. It's not just because we want and a digital is better. No, I learned in this specific episode in part 1 that it's not wrong or right. It's just like what is suitable for your need, because you will receive more benefits or less benefits, and you have to see what are the features. So James, what are the other advices you have for us regarding the wireless microphones?
Look for one that has the ability to do frequency scan so that you can find an available frequency. Look for the sync capabilities so that your receiver and transmitter can synchronize together. And also make sure you get the right pickup pattern for your mic. Whether you have an ear worn, maybe an ear worn might be omni. If it's a head worn that comes around in front, it might be unidirectional. If it's a lavalier, more than likely uni. Handheld, it's going to be unidirectional of some kind.
So the lavalier is the lapel that everybody calls lapel?
Yep. Okay. Which has three names. It has the name of lavalier, it has the name of lapel, and it has the name of clip-on. It's got some clip-on, right? It's got a clips on.
So you were telling me that microphone is a foreign citizen in Canada, because in our countries we have a lot of names. We have the maiden name, the middle name, and the nickname.
Yes, exactly. And I think the actual proper name would be lavalier, but lapel is because it would go on somebody's lapel, on their jacket lapel.
Listen.
And
I will never remember that name. Lavalier, but it's fine. I know it as a lapel, but that's the reason why I ask. So the lavalier. What else do you have regarding the microphones?
So I'd say just it again. It depends on like what your budget is and how far you want to go. But something else to keep in mind is just how good of a quality you're going to get into when you get a mic, because some of them are designed, let's say, to have the ability to run 8 simultaneous wireless microphones. Some are designed maybe with 12 or 16 or whatever number of wireless mics simultaneous. And so if you're going to have a wireless strategy and you're looking, let's say 3 years from now or 5 years from now, because your ministry is just evolving, where right now you might have 2 or 3 wireless microphones, but maybe you know that you're going to change the wireless mics for some band members, where they're now going to have wireless mics. And it could be because the wireless mics are now going on instruments as well. So you might have something on an instrument where you have maybe two or three people that might have wireless instruments. 2 or 3 people now have wireless microphones on stands, because the stands might be dynamic and moving around. So that might now take your 2 to 3 wireless mic system and jump it up to maybe 6 or 8 or 10. And so if you have the right building blocks, then it means that the wireless mics you have now, today, won't necessarily need to be put into that closet. And the other thing too is to also keep in mind, are you going to also at some point use things like in-ear monitoring, like wireless in-ear monitoring? Because if you are, then you're going to have transmitters back, let's say, at the AV desk, and receivers for the people that are on stage, but they take up a wireless channel. And it's almost as if you add another wireless mic into your system. So you have to count one for each of those 2. So if you have, let's say, 4 in-ear monitor channels, even though you might have one channel has 1 receiver, another channel has, say, 3 receivers, another one has 2 receivers, or another one has a single, whatever. Every time you have a channel as such, then you have to count that as if it's another wireless mic. So if you have 4 in-ear monitor channels, as an example, and you have 10 wireless microphones that you're using, you have a total of 14. And so you have to get a wireless mic system that you know is capable of running that. And so your receivers, it means that you can't necessarily have the $300 receiver, because it might only be capable of operating with 4 or 6 simultaneous channels. It may not be capable of running with 14. And also, the way that frequency selections are made too, you need to make sure that you have enough available bandwidth available too. So it's good to have a technology partner to help you with that, to be able to stack receivers into different frequency blocks as well too.
Those are great advices, James. Thank you very much. So what are the actions that you will recommend us to take regarding the wireless microphones?
Well, I think that one of the first things you want to do is plan. You need to plan how many wireless mics that you'll need within 5 years. And remember, also plan your wireless in years so that you can plan the number of channels you're going to need overall. Take the time to carefully think about that roadmap. How is the worship team going to use this, as well as the pastoral team? And whatever other ministries might also simultaneously be going on within the building. if you have something going on in the basement as well too, you don't want to just take your wireless mic that you had before and shift it into the basement because it wasn't compatible, because it can also be causing you other issues with your system, because the wireless transmission will still pass through floor to floor. So you want to be able to look at your entire wireless system as such, and all the wireless frequencies for what you're going to have operating simultaneously, even in adjacent rooms, or a room, let's say a hall, basement hall as well. You want to consider contacting a technology partner to help, because you're going to have to know more about what wireless mic systems are going to work for you.
So I'm sorry for the interruption. So in regarding of this one, contacting your technology partner, after how many microphones do you think that we have to start just like making sure that we're doing it right? Because if you just have one wireless microphone, you're fine. You just grab and go and connect and you're good to go. Am I right? But
when yeah,
2 or 3?
When you're, the thing is that if you think that after 5 years, you're going to have, let's say within 5 years, you're going to have 8 or more wireless devices,
okay,
then it would be a good idea to reach out to someone.
Awesome. 8 or more.
8 or more. If you're less than 8, chances are, even with some of the lower cost mics, you can get away with it.
Okay. Fair.
But yeah, so yes. But as you're planning, and I think a lot of the worship teams are going to be above 8 within 5 years. I think a lot of them are, because I think
Really?
because not just of a convenience point of view, I just believe that music ministries are growing by leaps and bounds within churches, where I've seen a number of churches that were saying, hey, we're traditional, but we're, now becoming a mixture of traditional and contemporary.
Wow.
And we're changing from having an organ and a piano, and we're now having a band as well too, and the youth is playing and so on. I've seen this in a number of churches where they are doing this and building new ministries, and I believe that a lot of the new ministries are also going to take more of the technology into place, and they're also going to be wanting to use these things in different arrangements, because the stages are just not, how they're not set up for these bands. They were set up before for traditional worship. They were not set up for contemporary worship. They don't have the big floor boxes with the, all the jacks in it and so on.
Oh yeah, that's a pain.
Yeah, and so I would see a number of them are going to be wanting to expand, but the only way they're going to be able to do it is wirelessly or use snake boxes, and to try and keep wires off of the floor and so on. I think this is where a lot of this is going to go and grow, and same with also monitoring, because I believe there's going to be a lot more wireless monitoring in the future. Even when people are using personal monitors, I think a lot of them are still going to be using personal monitors, but attaching them somehow to wireless, so that they have that freedom to move around and not have the cords. So,
so what are other actions you can recommend us about microphones?
Research, and because I found a lot of times within the church, it's been, well, we don't have a budget, and a lot of times the budget is, it's like, I don't know if there's been enough research done. It's been more reactive as opposed to proactive.
Yeah, you're totally right. I agree.
And being proactive means you're going to research something, you're going to bring it. I mean, it's just like, as Eli, as you, as a pastor, and or when a worship leader, and you need something in order to do what you have to do, you would prepare something. You would get some information, you would prepare a budget, and you would bring it to the board or to whoever it was that you needed to bring it to, and to say that I need this, and it costs this much, and these are the reasons why I need this. Well, I think that we have to do the same thing when it comes to wireless mics, because I think it's important enough for us to be able to do that when we start looking at how will it impact future ministry, how will it help, how will it take away some of the pain and troubles that we're experiencing today. So yeah.
I have a surprise for you, James, and you will see what it is. It's a bonus question for you.
Ooh.
So you changed my mind, and this is pretty honest, out of my pocket right now for free, just to you. A bonus question.
All right.
What will you recommend as a microphone below $500? Number one, analog or digital?
Well, I would go with analog, and the reason is because digital microphones below $500 are not within that 500 megahertz range.
I didn't see that one coming. I'm sorry. I didn't see that one coming. I thought that you were about to say digital.
I know. If the question was over 1,000, then I would have said digital.
Okay, yeah, because you have the budget, and it's
exactly.
It's better safe than sorry, right?
Yeah. But from a point of view of if it's a less than $500, what would be the choice? I would definitely say analog, something within 500 megahertz, something that has detachable antennas, something that has a true diversity receiver in it, so that you have the best reception you can get. I happen to have one. If you want me to show you one.
Yeah, please. Let me see.
Okay. Well, I have here something which is
a new microphone.
A new microphone, and this one is it's $499, so it's less than 500. Okay, and
For
this one
budget.
and this one it's a good quality mic because it's the same mic capsule as the one I'm speaking on right now,
and the one that I have too. No, this is 935.
Yeah, you got the 935, and this receiver is a true diversity receiver.
Wow.
So you have the best quality reception. It's detachable antennas, and remember I spoke about the mute slide switch. So it has a mute slide switch.
Yes.
It has the ability to scan frequencies, and you can synchronize the two together. So it's very good that way.
Okay, can you tell me what model is that one? So that's a Sennheiser what?
Yeah, so this is a Sennheiser XS Wireless 2 with referred to as the wireless vocal set, and it has the E835 microphone head on it.
It looks really nice. Hey, you didn't give me anything for my birthday, so hand it over. No, I'm just kidding. No,
So
I mean, I'm just kidding. Who's what?
Nothing.
When is your birthday?
Mine? Oh, mine is in October.
Oops. Okay, we need to get you something. Okay, we will find out that one later on. Maybe in the next episode we will see what we can give to James for his birthday.
Yay,
Okay.
I get something.
Yeah, at least a mug. Hey, we like coffee. We share our addictions to something.
Yeah.
Okay, and before we close, if you have any question, please remember, leave us in the comment below. But we have also something that we want to add starting today. The question of the day. Do you have, you audience, a 600 wireless microphone at your church? Let us know in the comments below and tell us the brand, the model, how long you had that microphone. How do you feel about it? If it's analog, do you want to go to digital? If it's digital, do you want to go back to analog? Do you have a plan? I think that this is the best thing that we can get out of James. He's always thinking like planning ahead of time. It's just like when you buy a car. You don't go like, okay, give me that one, and give me that one. One for here and one to go. No, it's not like going to the drive-thru. Think about it. Planning ahead of time, plan the budget, and present in a plan for 5 years. And listen, I'm learning from James in this, especially because I know that the churches are planning right now, especially through this pandemic, they're planning intentionally to save a lot of money. So planning ahead of time, how many microphones? I never thought about it. Why don't we move and clean up the stage with all the wires, and let's put everything wireless microphones, wireless headsets or personal in-ear monitors. Those are amazing. In a church that I've been invited several times, and we're just like praying that they're gonna offer us something pretty soon. They have, for me, a wireless in-ear monitor, and it's beautiful. It's just like I feel sometimes uncomfortable, and I feel like the elephant that grew up with a tied up rope on his leg, that I feel that I cannot move. And then I remember, no, I can move because it's wireless monitor, and it's really great. So leave us in the comment below everything. James, what if we want to contact you? Where can we find you?
Just come to networksav.com, and you can find where you can request some information or send a question. You can also just even post a comment below.
Yes.
And Eli and I were always talking back and forth, so I'll know that there's a comment and I can respond to it as well. And and you can subscribe to this channel. You can like the video.
Yes.
And not only that, come on over to our YouTube channel as well, Networks Audio Video.
Yes,
and
Networks Audio Video Inc. You will see on top of James' head over there, you will see his YouTube channel, also my YouTube channel. Leave comments below. So we want to know more about you. What are the things that you like about this episode? The question of the day: do you have a 600 megahertz wireless microphone? It's digital, analog. And thank you one more time, James. Right now we're smarter than half hour ago, so it's a win-win for us. So anything else that you want to add for today?
I want to thank you. It's always a pleasure, and I'm glad that we have this opportunity for you to be able to join us and to not just listen to what we have to say, but also to allow us to share our experiences. And we're hoping that you'll also share with us, your experiences as well.
Please.
That we can comment back, that we can try and help you with answers.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Because this is something that is close to our hearts.
Yeah, and you, audience, is the reason why we do this. We know that we have to respect social distancing and those kind of things in our locations, wherever we are, even in Ontario where we live. James lives in Markham. I live in near to Barrie, Ontario. We have a lot of restrictions right now with the masks and everything. And this is the best way that we can be ourselves to help you. So leave the comments below, subscribe to James' channel, my channel. And from me, this has been Tech Talk. This is Eli Navas and
James, and thank you for coming to Tech Talk.
See you next time.